Welcome to the Gentleman's Talk, where the podcast talks about a man's battle with mental health, his personal experiences, and his journey to be a better soul. Hosted by James Dean Littlejohn.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Gentleman's Talk with your host, James Dean Littlejohn. I just thought I'd add a little bit of excitement today. I'm feeling a little bit more positive. And it's tough. It's tough. This whole mental health malarkey is very tough. And I haven't really done a lot actually to do with, making it sort of raising awareness as I normally do. I'm trying to get one or two podcasts out and I try to sort of nurture it a little bit, but I've not had the enthusiasm myself. So for me, that's the hardest part. It's the hardest part with the mental health. I think that's the bit that really debilitates me is when I lose enthusiasm. You know, when I get that loss, it really does affect me because I can't seem to scramble and find it. And it's horrible when you lose it because you don't know when you're going to get it back. You don't know what you're going to do. You can do everything you can, but sometimes it just takes time, you know. This certainly has. From when I spoke to you three podcasts ago, when I gave you the devastating news that I have heard. And again, why did I do that? More of an awareness thing, really, because I know it's really difficult news, and a lot of people would keep that private. Absolutely, they really would. I don't want to keep that private because I feel it's that awareness of what you go through. And it's not a look at me because by no means do I want any attention on half of the subjects I talk about. And often when I talk about these subjects, I do often question myself afterwards. Have I gone too deep? Have I said too much? Am I making myself look weak? Have I, told people more than they should really know about me? And especially as we live in a world where this is constantly in question, isn't it? Do we divulge too much information? Do we go on to look for the sympathy card? Do we go on to try and, is there any actual foundation to the cause? So if I'm trying to raise awareness, am I actually trying to raise awareness? I get all this questioning, and I question a lot as well. So it's important that we do. But for me, and again, this is going to sound crazy, I don't do it for the attention. I really don't. I do it for the awareness because for me, I get sort of kind of upset when people tell lies or they tell, they try and promote themselves in some sort of way to try and get themselves that fame or whatever it is. And it's not about that. For me, this is about awareness, and that's the importance. Why I'm opening up so much, I suppose, and I'm trying to think of a bigger word, there wasn't one, but why I'm opening so much is because these are things that people endure all the time. And I actually read a stat, believe it or not, that there's something like 17,500 registered sexual assaults in the UK alone, 17,000 something, whatever it was, and that's equivalent to sort of kind of half, if not more, of Europe. So it just goes to show, how big a problem it is. So there might be a lot more parents out there that are going through this, and especially men. For me, it was very difficult to take the news. It's very difficult to try and manage a family around those sort of things. And these are types of pressures that we don't expect on a daily basis, irrelevant of any past issues you may be having. So you may be one of these ones that's susceptible to mental health problems, and you take on stresses that you don't really think that you can manage very well, but you have to manage. You have to be seen to be managing. And there's a lot of things, of stuff that's incorporated. Although this is a personal journey for me, and like I said, I want to raise awareness of the stuff that, certainly that I go through. And I think the personal level adds that kind of authenticity to it, because so many times you hear about these things, and often I do watch a lot of social media, and especially you do when you're looking in sort of kind of it's in your face, isn't it? You know, you sort of kind of bouncing off of it, and you get encapsulated by a lot of it. Hold on. I was just wondering where my music in the background had gone. There it is. So I must have knocked it. And a lot of the stuff I see is a lot of people, it almost sounds as if they're like jumping on a bandwagon. I've almost seen people do it for the attention status at the moment. That, you know, you need someone to talk to, you need someone to reach out to. And, you know, for me, the reason I do this is because I get a lot out of it personally. I absolutely do. It helps me talk to somebody. And by that I mean, like, I for instance, my little friendship group, beautiful friends they are. I opened up quite a bit yesterday to them just to show them really what has been going on, and it was weird to do it. I almost felt like I didn't want to do it because, again, I felt that there was kind of, do they really want to know this? Do they need to know this? But it was my way of saying, you know, guys, you know, that this is the type of shit that I can go through, you know. So, and I'm bouncing off of other things, and I did talk I was very, very open and honest. I sometimes I think I might be open and honest too much for my own good. But I don't know, I just seem to have grasped hold of it, and it just seemed to just say it as it is. I think you get through life quicker and smoother by just being honest. When you're constantly in doubt and battles and skirting around things, it becomes life becomes a little bit of a chore, and I don't really like that. So, yeah, maybe I am a little bit too open and honest, but like I said, it's one of those things. I get a lot out of being open and honest. So yeah, mental health, and I think that this whole thing is just that awareness, getting those statistics down, getting men feeling happy about themselves. You know, there's a lot of pressure. I've seen a lot of pressure around this time of the year with regards to you know, Christmas, and you know, you have to deliver. You have to bring home the bacon. You know, you have to provide for your family. So, and it's a very difficult time. And I'm not just saying men are susceptible to that. There's a lot of single parent women out there. There's a lot of single parent, all sorts of genders that are, you know, that are out there that are feeling these pressures at this time of the year. And that's why I think that, although, you know, I direct this as, and I do underpin this as the gentleman's talk. I mean, it's the gentleman's talk as in, you know, I like to, you know, talk about the issues that sometimes I face, and things that I've done to manage that mental health. And I think it's really important in terms of awareness, try and grasp that thought process in managing your mental health. And yeah, for me, like I said, it's been a roller coaster the last couple of weeks. I've been open and honest. I've spilled my gums, spilled my guts, as they say, bumped my gums and spilled my guts to my friends, and it was a weird one. Like I said, it was weird. I opened up to them and I sort of said, but then afterwards I felt a bit stupid, almost saying like, "Look at me, I'm going through this," but it wasn't like that at all. It wasn't to put a Debbie Downer on anything. It was just more really just for me to say to them, this is what I'm going through. This is why I go quiet, because I'm dealing with things that, you know, I don't expect you to know. I don't expect you to talk about. I don't even expect you to, you know, offer any advice, because, you know, it's really hard to offer advice on something you've got no experience in, isn't it? You know, and there's no point in pointing me towards the internet or anything like that, because I've already done all that. I've already done all the other things that you need to do. And but I felt it was one of those ones where I was like, you know, when you say, you know, are you okay? And then, you know, you normally get the response back saying, yeah, I'm good. And I don't believe you. And it was kind of my way of saying, well, okay. And no one had said that, by the way. I was just saying, you know, it felt like that. And I wanted to just explain where I was and what I was going through. And I know that everybody's going through their own things. And it was kind of my way of saying, I'll open up. I have no secrets from you. This is who I am. This is what I'm going through. I really appreciate who you are, and I really appreciate your support and time. But, you know, obviously, if you know I'm going off the rails, or, you know, you acknowledge things, you know what's going on in the back of my mind. So you can kind of get that little bit of a feeling, you know, maybe understand why certain people react in certain ways at certain things, whatever it may be. And that's why I did it. But I did feel stupid afterwards. I don't know why. I've never felt stupid before. But, well, I have actually felt stupid quite a few times. But at the same time, I didn't know why I did. I just almost felt like I'd if I'm honest with you, it felt like I'd opened up probably too much. I didn't expect a response. I didn't know what response to get. What response do you give to when you open up to your friends and tell them what you're going through and give them the details of what had happened in your family? So you provide them with the details, which are quite gory, but at the same time, not gory. That's the wrong word. They're horrendous. I would just say that's horrendous. Not gory. That's the wrong word. So, and it was a way of saying, a problem shared, a problem halved, and just to know what I'm going through. And, I don't expect you to help me or even offer me guidance because nobody can. But at the same time, just appreciate me, for where and what I am at the time. If I'm having a down day, then just go with it. Go with it. And, so I've looked after myself, though. What I have done is on the back of opening up, and that was last night, what I have done is I've continued to look after myself. I've continued to... I've been a roller coaster with food. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been up and down, kind of not eating and then, for long periods and then a day and a half not eating and then fucking blasting food down. And then, do you know what I mean? It's really playing havoc with my system. So I've had to just readdress that. But what I have been doing is focusing on getting out and about, trying to constantly engage as well. I've even stepped up my engagement in terms of my friends and family by not sending, a text message, not sending a voice note, but actually sending videos, little mini videos, just to say I'm here with you and still. Makes me feel really good. And that's how I've been managing my mental health, because it's been a fucking state. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been a roller coaster. I say that a lot anyway, but it's one of those ones where, like I said, I think in my last podcast, it's hard work when you've worked so hard to manage it, and then all of a sudden, winter comes along, these dismal fucking days, and you just crash. And it's like almost like you've lost your first line of defence. The sun, the outdoors, the socialising, the barbecues, the friends, the beach, all the good stuff that's incorporated with summer, the happiness, the sitting in the garden amongst nature, all of these things, going out for late evening walks, they're all associated with smiles. When you look back at my TikToks from, 3 months ago to now, you can see pale face, fucking horrible, trudging through the mud and the horrible. And it is about being about nature. I do absolutely advocate that still. I do that 3-4 times a day with my dog every single day because it does help me. Even if it's raining, I still get that fun feeling, but you don't get the serotonin levels that you get bouncing off the sun from the vitamin D. So there's a lot to battle, and then when you're battling these little mini battles you've got going on at home, or your home life, or your work life, whatever they may be, finances, loved ones, there could be all sorts. You constantly thinking yourself, shitting out, give me a break. When am I going to get the break I need? And that sort of brings me into what I did. And one thing I did this last 3 or 4 weeks to try and manage my mental health was I became a little bit selfish. I'm not going to lie, I did become selfish. And I don't mean selfish as in, if somebody said, can you do something? I wouldn't do it. It wasn't that sort of selfish or, sort of kind of just being a knob. I wasn't being one of those. What I meant was I pulled myself in, and I managed my own mental health. I kept in touch when I could, but it's really hard to be around positive people when you're constantly negative, because it doesn't get seen as positivity. It gets seen as that negativity. I don't know, if you're in a negative place, I challenge anybody, if you're in a negative place, do you genuinely believe, and this would be a question to you, do you genuinely believe that would promote positivity all the time, or would you? Or because there's times where I've been a bit low, and I've been kind of a bit flat in the day, and then my friends have jumped on and we've had a chat, and everybody does bolster you, does make you feel amazing. They do, because they come through with all the sunshine. They all have their own little benefits in terms of how they deliver morning and afternoon, whatever time of the day they send a message, and you're like, fucking yeah, that's hilarious. And normally there's quips. I've noticed we've plateaued a little bit and petered off due to the weather. We're just sort of not engaging. We're almost like we've gone into this hibernation. But I challenge anybody that sits there, if you're a genuinely angry, depressed person, or just genuinely in a really shit place, horrible place, where you don't enjoy life and you're not finding enjoyment in anything, challenge yourself to be around that positive, and it will start to tear you apart a little bit. So you have to be a little bit, and this is where I think that I evolve as a person, certainly. Sometimes you need a bit of space, and I call it selfishness because I think it is. In a form, for me, it seems selfish because I like to be there for my friends. I like to be there for my family. I like to be a key player in people's lives, and that's where I've always been. But sometimes, I appreciate that, that can be a bit annoying, because I can be a bit of a fucking annoyance sometimes. So people give a bit of space, give and take. And sometimes that's where I've evolved in my mental health journey, is to become a little bit selfish, because I have pulled away for a couple of weeks. I've not been engaging to my normal level, if you like. And as jovial as I normally am. Hold on while I take a sip of my juice. I'm on juice today. And I mean, not mean Liver King juice either. That's something I must talk to you about social media at one point, actually, because it's quite interesting. But yeah, it's So completely lost. I was thinking about Liver King now. But managing your mental health. So you have to be a little bit selfish. You have to stop people from. Sometimes, if that does affect you, I think that's what it's really important to take protection from that for your own safety. And one of the things that I came out recently that I learned about myself was, when you're that horrible person and when you've got a negative approach, an angry approach to mental health, so that fight or flight scenario, and there's different types of people that will fight and flight. You've got if you're ever in a situation where, you've got this adrenaline high, if you're a fighter like I am, and I don't mean physical fighter, but I am one that will sit there, I will argue, I will, like I said, I've told you this before, till the cows come home, I will sit, piss, moan, I will fight if I have to, but I'll never run off. I won't ever run off. So, but then you might be the other person that doesn't like that confrontation, that will run off and constantly walk away. And I think that fight or flight, when you're in the sector, if you like, or the area that I'm in, where I fight and I become quite not violent, but like sort of verbal, if you like, and I can be a little bit frustrating sometimes. Not so much now. I will caveat that I've absolutely, this is the area I sat in. So although I have absolute control now, I really do. I don't nowhere near lash out as much as I used to years and years ago, when I was just an angry ball of mess walking around, trying to function, and you're almost like you're a quick lighter. You're one of those ones. You're just waiting for that little strike of a match, and bosh, you are lit, firing away. You're a firework ready to go off. And because you're that person, what I've realised is, as I've got my mental health into a fairly good place in terms of I can manage it, and all right, there's elements of the unknown at the moment in terms of the other factors that are involved in my life, but at the same time I don't have control over those factors. But the actual control of my mental health in terms of my career path, where I want to go and what I want to do, I feel happy with the way I'm managing that. But one of the things I've learnt is, because the people around me are normally the ones I like to talk to, I have to manage how I talk about them. And I noticed in one of my podcasts, I was quite negative on the one that I blamed. I think I blamed everybody but myself, which was a bit of a difficult time for me. And that's when I realised, because I reflect heavily and I've incorporated all these little different coping mechanisms into my mental health, that by continuously doing that, I acknowledge when I need a bit of space, I need a bit of time away, or because I don't want to upset or hurt people around me. I really don't. And for me, that's kind of the most important factor. So by giving myself that little bit of space, that little bit of silence, I was able to just reflect heavily. I was able to continuously go over things. I would, again, go through my structure, reevaluate who's around me, has anything caused me to feel this way, apart from the obvious. And none of it was. They were all there. So everybody that I looked all around me, and I was like, no, I absolutely appreciate everybody that's around me. Everyone around me is purposeful in terms of they're trustworthy, they're loving, they're caring, and I'm doing the same for them. So, but I had to do all that. I had to go through all these little motions. All the ones I've spoke to you over the last year of incorporating is all because it gets to a point where you can manage your mental health. So sometimes you might need that little bit of time, that little bit of space from your friends. Maybe it might even be loved ones. You need that space away. And we must acknowledge that sometimes when you take that space away from somebody, you will start to appreciate the time that you had with them. I certainly know that, in this last year probably last 2 years where I've been roller coaster, I've lost a few friendships that have just dissipated, just gone off the radar, and I do miss them. So I know that those are friendships that, the ones that got away, if you like, the ones I didn't manage myself properly. So they've kind of moved along, which is fine. I have to accept that because there'll be people that I've done that to because they've not given as much into the friendship, relationship, whatever it was, as much as they gave to me, and vice versa. I talk about this all the time. So it's really, really, really important to constantly go through those processes to manage effectively your mental health, really. And that's what's important here. This is why I've been fucking talking to you for the last X amount of months, is because we get to a point where we can manage ourselves. And I'm evolving. Here we go. I'm evolving. I'm pulling myself away, but at the same time, I'm still keeping in touch. I'm going through these step-by-step processes, making sure I reflect on the day, how I feel, what is going wrong. I still struggle with having a purpose in life. I don't know why. It's something that's just... It's constantly there. It's just one of those constant challenges where I go, well, what's your purpose, James? What are you doing? If you're not enjoying life, why are you not enjoying life? And all these sort of things. And I've had to review quite a few things over the last week or so. But it's working. It's actually getting there. It's actually making me feel better. And that's the most important part. Is otherwise you get to the point where, and like I said, I never listen back to my podcast, so I don't know what it sounds like. But I must admit, the last couple have been really difficult. I've been in a fucking horrible place. But I'm trying to keep showing you those negatives. And although that sometimes they are hard listens, I get that. But those negatives really, really, really underpin the positives, the good times, the times where I'm smiling, the times where I'm giving you tips and tricks. I'm showing you that it's learning, because it is a constant battle. And I don't mean constant, again, like where the negative approach where you go, oh God, I don't want to keep working at this. I've got to fucking go to work and earn money and all this sort of stuff. No, what I mean is it's a constant battle for yourself, and we have to acknowledge that it is a battle. But what we do is we put in these mitigations, these robust measures, if you like, and I'm talking in health and safety terms here. We put those in place to manage our mental health and well-being. And that's why, I mean, to be honest, that's why, mental health now is such a big part of health and safety. Because we're realising now that you have to do this on a daily basis. You have to manage your work-life balance effectively. Because all of these, it's why I talk about mental health when I'm at work, when I say to my colleagues, I'm off on a Friday and I go, fucking don't stay, mate, or get yourself off, or yeah, do that, mate, and I'll cover for you. No, I don't mean cover, but if he had a meeting, I would sit on a meeting for him. These are all important aspects in life, and I think that the mental health and well-being aspect of life, it's not just about what's going on with an individual. It's also looking at the different parameters in what you do in your own life. So, everything takes working at. Are you one of these workaholics? I certainly used to be. Now I'm fucking not. I clock off. I cancel fucking meetings if they're of no interest to me or something else that I've got planned. I cancel it, and I don't care. Just because you've invited me on the day that is good for you doesn't mean it's good for me. I'm not going to move my diary around to suit you. You can put out a diary request and we'll present some date. These are all key aspects to managing your mental health. Making sure that you clock off at your time. Making sure that you have your breaks. especially with the pandemic, how everybody has gone from, pandemic, I don't mean everybody, but the majority of people are working from home and stop managing their mental health and start becoming that recluse, and then start finding it difficult to go back into the work environment because they've just shut themselves away. This is all important aspects of our mental health, which is why it's so wide in health and safety, is because it's not just about managing yourself every day, making sure that you get up, you drink your water, you eat fairly healthy. It's important to have a structured, healthy diet, but at the same time acknowledging we all need to live a little bit, enjoy some of the grey food, as they call it, or the beige food. We have to enjoy our lives a little bit, but everything's in moderation. If you do everything in moderation, a little bit of exercise, a little bit of healthy eating, a little bit of, overindulging, but in small moderation, all these things are all easily managed. And they'll keep enjoying life, but you're managing it. You're not becoming obese, and you're not becoming, anorexic, if you like. So you're just going to manage everything. So it's about the management of your mental health in every aspect, making sure that you're not going to go in half an hour into work early and, give them half an hour of your day for absolutely fuck all. You know what I mean? No, you're not. You're going to go in, if you go in early, but you start when you start, you finish when you finish. It's really important because that manages your mental health. It stops you working over the time and stops you from giving extra that you're not getting any benefit for. All you're getting is negative. You're not at home with the family. You're not with your friends. You're not with your mother and father. You're not with the people that are really important in your one life. Your one chance at life is to enjoy it, not workaholics. And that's something I fundamentally learned this year, is my work-life balance, and actually going, no, I've got flexi. I'm going home now, mate. I'll see you later. Or it's having that confidence and that to be able to just say to people, no, these are my hours. I sign them off. This is what I'm going to fucking do. I'm going to go and look after myself. I'm going to go and play golf in the afternoon. I'm going to go and do something that I enjoy in life. I'm going to go home early and look after my children and give them a bit of extra time that they wouldn't normally get. These are all fundamental points to looking after, making you a rounded individual. And I think that's the key part there. Mental health isn't just about, like I said, you just managing your daily reflection, your nature walks, all of those things. But I can guarantee if you're sat there listening to me right now, and you've listened along any point of this journey, if you've incorporated some of these points and you're actively doing them, you're constantly going over them for your 3 months, we talk about that learned habit. If you're actually doing this, I guarantee you will be in a better place. Because I know for a fact that I was certainly in a better place, a lot better place than I've been in the X amount of years, because I was managing it appropriately and I'd got rid of so much negativity in my life and I was pushing forward. I've still got a couple of little areas, but that's just working on myself. That's working on, areas that have caused problems in the past that I need to get past. We talk about depression and spending and all this sort of things, and the addiction aspect that comes along with crippling depression. And I'm still paying for those things. So this is stuff I'm working on. So I understand that. But what I am doing is looking at, those are things that I have to manage on a daily basis as an adult. I don't incorporate that into my mental health spectrum, if you like, although it is an element. I don't look at it as a fundamental point. I just go, you just need to manage that. And I got into the situation knowing I could manage it because I'm not a stupid fucking idiot, and I didn't get myself into debt unmanageable. But it's one of those things, it drags on a little bit longer. So it doesn't give you the freedom that you would expect once you've got your mental health in a good place. You give yourself that freedom. And that's what comes with managing your mental health, freedom. Because what you get from that is you get socialism, so you get to socialise, you get to go out, you have the confidence. Even if you're an introvert, you'll do your introvert things in a better way. If you're an extrovert, you do it in a better way. You'll look after yourself, you'll be healthy, you'll be exercising, meditating, listening to good music, all real happy mood lifters. And I think that for me, that is the point of this. It's incorporating all those little mechanisms that we've all had in fucking spades over the years, and we just forget about them because we move along with technology, and we forget that actually strip down the bullshit, take away the bollocks TV. Like I said, I haven't watched the fucking news for like 6 months now. Just given up on it. I don't really fucking care. It's full of shit. The news is absolutely full of shit, and I have not watched the news for 6 months. I've not watched headlines. I don't fucking care. People may talk to me and say, "Oh, such and such." I go, "Is it?" Okay, I'm not really fucking bothered, mate, because there's so much negativity involved around life at the moment that I don't need to chuck something else into the mix by watching negativity everywhere else. I'm just going to manage it and understand it. It's like everything, but I guarantee, like I said, if you've done any of these and you've incorporated them into your daily routine, whether that being I'm going to make sure I get up at 7 o'clock every single day, no matter what. That may become routine Monday to Friday, but if you do that Saturday and Sunday, you get a lot more day. So you give yourself that ability to challenge yourself to do more, instead of like what I've done the last couple of weeks where I've been managing my mental fucking health. And I say managing it because I need to fucking get a new CEO in or something to fucking manage it. I need to get a new managing director. But what I've done is I've been sleeping a lot. I've been exhausted a lot, mentally exhausted, trying to learn Nibosh gas and oil, which is probably boring to a lot of yous. I'm trying to fucking learn that, as well as do my work, as well as fucking function with this crazy brain of mine. And, so I've sort of kind of, it's been a difficult one. It's been fucking weird. It's been horrible, to say the least. But what I have done is I've incorporated all of these mechanisms, and that's what it's about. If you incorporate them, you get the ability to manage your mental health, even if it's just at the point where you're treading water, but you're still breathing, but you're acknowledging, you've nearly drowned there. Even if it's just in that point where you do something that makes you happy, that makes you smile, that brings you back out of your shell, and get yourself that work-life balance, that family balance. Everything else will just be normal jogging, just be business as usual, as they say. And that's a really important part, I think that's the effective point. The effective process in managing your mental health is sometimes it's just about doing some of the little things, and everything else. Like I said, I've got friends, they engage back with me, they send me private messages in terms of, and I don't mean dick pics, but I mean sending me private messages just to say how you going, personal messages saying how you doing, hope you're okay. And like I said at the start of this, what is too much information? What is too much information? What I've done where I feel a little bit like, fucking hell, I feel a bit vulnerable. I've told them all of this and explained into detail. Was that too much information? Or was it enough information? So you question a lot of things. Like I said, even when I do TikToks and I even do the podcast, I say, have I divulged too much information? But it's not about that. It's not about the divulging of information. It's about that awareness that there is people out there that are trying to get on in life. They're trying to function. They're doing a fucking damn good job of it. But at the same time, they do struggle. And I think that by being open and honest about things, it gives you that ability to acknowledge that, yes, they're struggling. So let's maybe cut them a bit of slack. Let's maybe support them. Let's find a way of helping them, even if it just means sending them a funny fucking video to get them to have a laugh, whatever it may be, just to try and spark that little bit of fun. I know for a fact that, like I say, this week I did something a little bit out of the books for me, but I felt I needed to, and this is another step I've spoken about before. I went to therapy. So Friday I sat down, I did an hour and a half therapy session, and it was just talking about what's gone on in my life lately. And at the end, the psychiatrist was super, super supportive, and just said, I'm going through a fucking hell of a lot, as well as, going through the own battles I have with the PTSD, etc. This time of year is naturally sad for me because, you know, poor weather and I don't get out much, and I like this. I like the water, and there's a lot of things that, you know, that sort of kind of play havoc on me as a personality. And I know that there'll be people that can sort of kind of relate to that. Maybe there's people out there that are completely opposite. They'd hate summer, they hate the heat, but they absolutely love the winter. That we've all got our own preferences, haven't we? But I think for me, I get such a boost in the sun that even when I was doing my reflection walk earlier, actually, and even then I was going, you know, not last year, but the year before. Was it last year? No, it was last year, sorry. I broke the summer up. I broke the winter up because I went away with my best friend. So, you know, we went away to Spain. I think it was Spain or Greece. I can't remember. I can't remember which one of the islands. And we had a good week's holiday. And I think that bit of sun and water and fun really drove me into it sort of kind of Christmas time, because then, like I say, you sort of enjoy Christmas, and then January you start getting that sunlight back, and then you can see the springs on the horizon. You know, I know it's a few months away still, but it does gives you something to focus on. So yeah, so I know I get a little bit time. So it's managing those things. It's managing everything. And I think that, like I said, the evolution of me was drawing away, being a little bit selfish, just still keeping in touch with people, but at the same time acknowledging I wasn't giving them 110% because I needed to take that time for myself. I need to be able to smile. I need to be able to want to enjoy life myself. Sometimes it's really hard to bolster people up and pick people up when you're struggling yourself. And I'm a natural pick-me-upper, if you like. It's not even a fucking word, but I'm a natural pick-me-upper. You know, I like to make people feel happy. I like to make people feel spirited. I actually had an interview on Friday, not a job interview, but an interview with my boss. But it wasn't reference to a job; it was reference to recruitment sort of things. And anyway, I was it was a Friday. I knew, you know, she'd left the organisation, so I was just my normal self, and I was just having a laugh with it. And she was like, "Yeah, going through," and we were having a bit of laugh and a bit of banter. Asked me the questions, and I was responding to the questions, and it was a good hour. And then, you know, and afterwards she said, "Do you know what, James? I was dreading this meeting, not the one with me, but in terms of the questions that she had to ask. It's for her master's degree, and she has to do it with 6 people. And she said, you're the first one, so I was dreading it. I was practicing last night with her husband, and." She said, I came on, and this has been brilliant. And I went, oh, thanks. You know, that makes me, says, you really do. You come at everything with so much enthusiasm. And I'm like, yeah, but that can be seen as a bit of a negative for some people. And she goes, it can be a little bit overpowering. But, you know, it's nice to get that good positive feedback, though. Although there was an element of negativity that it can be perceived as difficult sometimes. But at the same time, I like to lift a room. That's what I like to do. So when I'm not firing on all cylinders like I haven't been lately, I have to try and work out a way, because this is really, think about it, this is my first year of managing my mental health with a skill set that I've developed, with researching, with talking to my friends, with being open and honest. These are all new things to me. This is, you know, like I said, I started this on January the 1st. So, you know, we're getting close to its anniversary. And, excuse me, and that's a real big milestone for me, because number one, I've spoken for, you know, the whole fucking year about mental health and trying to raise awareness, but also in terms of watching myself evolve, learning about myself, you know. And I have conversations, and I said to my wife, actually, I said, you know, do you think I'm better? She goes, yes and no. She said, yes, I think you're better in terms of summertime. You are getting a bit more enjoyment out of life again. You are looking at life more positively than you have done for the last 14 years. She said, but you haven't changed at all in terms of the winter time. She said, you're still very negative. You're still very, you sleep a lot, almost hibernate. You know, you shut yourself away. You're very angry. You know, you don't like driving. All of these things have not got better, which is a little bit disheartening for me, because, you know, sometimes with mental health, you do take, you know, one step forward, and sometimes you take those 2 steps back. And I need to look now at how I can make that better. And that might even be, like I said, I'm trying to think about these things. Reflection's so important to me. And I was going for my walks and I was going, well, maybe I do need to, look at incorporating my holiday period rather than having what we traditionally look at as summertime, is trying to get away and do something in the winter that will give me something to focus on, give me something to look forward to, whether that be a weekend log cabin or whatever with my wife or with the family or with whatever, going away with friends. I need to do more stuff in the winter actually, because summer becomes easy, and that will hopefully raise my profile, raise my mood. So again, this is something I can now, because I'm understanding myself and I'm talking about it, recording it, I can actually look at ways to manage my mental health. And I know now this is an area that I really need to work on. So I know that next year now I go, okay, so, you've got this love for the garden and you've got the love for the, looking after the garden, the house, maintaining it, building it all up. Next year's all planned. I know pretty much what I want to achieve in terms of bathroom replacement, and this is boring DIY bollocks, but bathroom replacement, a bit more on the garden. I've got these certain little milestones I want to hit next year. So it's really important that I also look at milestones for myself. And I go, okay, I know what I want to do in my career. I know what I want to do at home. Now I need to look at myself. And I go, okay, so now you need to look at ways to save, to go away. What do you enjoy doing? What's the sport you enjoy doing? And just find those elements and break it throughout the year so that I give myself that focus, that clarity on what I want to achieve that year. And I do actually cascade my mind back to my doctor when I first said, well, it wasn't my first time. It was probably about 2 or 3 years in, and I went up to him and said, I'd not seen him for about a year, and I went back to see him and I said, look, mate, I said, what the fuck is going on? And he went, what? I said, I'm fucking sick of this, mate. I don't understand my purpose. And that's where I say I struggle. And he went, James, what are your goals? And I went, fucking hell, I haven't got any goals, mate. I said, what do you mean goals? He goes, you've got to have a goal. Men need goals. You need something to look forward to. You need something to focus on. Do you want to get promoted? Do you want to go to somewhere? How do you go somewhere? Well, I want to go to fucking Caribbean islands. Okay, that's going to cost $2,000. All right, well, you need to save $2,000, but it gives you something to look forward to. So you start saving every penny, but you get the excitement of the build up to it. And I was like, yeah, okay, fuck off. It was kind of like going like that. And yeah, you've got to have those milestones in life. You've got to want to know where you're going to go. If you don't know where you're going to go, you're going to constantly be battling with yourself. If you don't say to yourself, and do you know what I did create? I'm doing this leadership program, and it is good, really good actually. And I've got this plan, and I've developed it into a 1-3-5. So it's a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan. And I've got a 1 year plan for what I want to hit. Like I said, I want to hit these milestones. I want to hit the mental health milestones. I want to hit the career milestones. And then I've got additional 3 year career prospects when I get to a certain grade and get myself settled. And then I've got my 5 year. So my 5 year for me will be almost 46. It'd be 45 because I started at 40. So my 5 year one, I've got a plan, and it really does. When you get that plan going and you tick these things off in the box, it really does help you. I think if you just sit there wallowing in self-pity, or blocking away your mental health like I've done for years with alcohol or pain with opioids, and getting the addiction to that, if you keep going down this negative route, you'll never take full grasp of your mental health. You'll never get the full spirit you need. It's like anything you need. If you want to change anything in life, you're the first person that has to want to do it. It's not everyone else. Because once you physically say, I want to stop doing that, and I did the same. I literally went from one day taking Cocodamol to get over my pain and sleep, because it's the only thing that I could get that was without any fucking risk, apart from bodily risk, and just to shut myself away. And if you constantly do that, you're never going to better your mental health. And what I did is one day I went, no, I'm not taking them anymore. And I did not take them after 3 years of taking 8 to 10 every day. And the doctor went, you can't fucking do that. And I did. I had a bit of a crash, but that was one of those things. That's the way I wanted to do it. Cold turkey to fucker. And I never went back. And I have a lot of respect, because you've got to make the decision to want to stop that. And that was the same as when I said, right, that's it, I'm not drinking alcohol. And I didn't drink alcohol for 5 years because it just kept affecting me. So I've got to the point where I can enjoy alcohol and I know my limit, and I just stop. I just go, okay, I've had enough. And that's because I've been at the scale where I didn't know what a limit was. I didn't know when was enough. But so I respect it. But every single time I've wanted to do something, I've wanted to do it. You have to want to do it. I chose. I said I want to do this podcast. I want to raise awareness that mental health fucking cripples you. And the amount of times in the last 3 or 4 weeks that I've just not wanted to be here is unbelievable. And I know that's so easy to say, and it's so easy to go, oh, fucking saying it again. It's true, though. There is a point where you can't take any more. And it's fucking rippling. But you fight constantly, and that's the whole point of having all these mechanisms in place to look after ourselves and make our time on this world enjoyable and fun by being around the right people. The people that will knock on your door and say, let's go for a pint, or if you're not drinking, let's go for a fucking tea and scones. This is what it's about, managing your mental health in the right way. But you have to be the one that wants to do it. Any aspect in mental health, or any action in your life for that matter, you have to want to make the change. There's no point in pissing and moaning about it. If you want a new job, go get a new job. If you want a new relationship, go and get a new relationship. Okay, there's obviously factors involved in some of these, and I'm not going to go into that because that's a fucking rabbit warren of like, oh, I need certain education, or I need looks. Okay, I can't help you there. So, there is, understand there's factors we can't control, but at the same time, you've got to want to make that decision to want to make the change. And if you want to take control of your mental health and want to feel happy, then do so. And then spread that happiness. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to spread the love. Careful what you say there, mate. There'll be people out there going, you're not spreading no love on me, mate. There, you fucking want it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, actually. I think that's a good place to leave it. I just wanted to get some positivity. So if you are in a situation where you need to sometimes take a step back, and make sure you're mindful in terms of letting people know you're taking a step back, why you're taking a step back, because they need to make sure your friends and family and loved ones know that this isn't for a negative point, because at the same time we need to remember that sometimes when you isolate yourself, it's actually worse for your mental health. So you need to make sure you're strong enough to take that step back to manage your mental health. Make sure you've done the things that we always talk about incorporating, because when you do that, and you can take those step backs confidently, knowing that you're managing it. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep going out and going my reflection walks. I'm going to keep drinking plenty of water. I keep saying it, rah, rah, rah. I'm going to keep doing these good things, but I'm going to manage my mental health by just removing some of the, what are they called? The overindulgences. Remove some of the factors that may become a little bit difficult to try and manage your day to day. And do that. And then when you take a step back in, always make sure you let people know how you've been, what you've done, how you're feeling. Fuck you and bosh. I'm back, boys or girls, fucking family, whatever you are. Show them your enthusiasm and explain to them this, I did this and this. Yeah, took a couple of weeks out, switched off social media, switched off TV, just reflected on myself, got some admin done, got myself back up. Did a finance review, did a whatever, a review of the house, whatever, cleaned some cupboards, whatever your therapy may be. And now I feel in a good place. I feel like, yeah, actually, I can confidently go forward the next year and feel happy. I know where I'm going to go. Sometimes you have to manage your life that way. So make sure you take those steps if you can do it. But at the same time, if you're not strong enough, reach out to the people and explain you actually need a little bit more support. Like I said, I went to therapy and I had a good hour-and-a-half session talking about everything. And it's the one that I did the 38 therapy session was before. So she already knew a lot about me. She was absolutely gobsmacked of what I'd been through. And at the same time, she said, she said, what are you doing? And I spouted it all off because I talk about this. And she went, you are doing everything you can do. you're taking antidepressants, you're taking medication, the way you need it. You're doing all the things that I would suggest you do. There's nothing you can do. And I don't mean that in a don't go and see her, because in actual fact, what I got out of it was the ability to talk to somebody that wasn't in my little network, that wasn't in such an impacting role as my friendship group. And I got to really divulge and actually let go of myself a little bit. So I got to, fully get the emotions out to somebody who is completely impartial, knew enough about me to understand a bit about my background, but at the same time completely impartial, which was nice and refreshing for me because I didn't feel judged. Everything she said was justifiable. She did worry about the, sort of making sure that I don't go into that negative space again. So it's really important when you get the help. When you need the help, and you acknowledge that. That's a really important point there. Even me, when I'm talking about it, I still needed that additional help. And it's helped me. It really has. It's helped me progress forward and remain positive, remain structured, and give me back a little bit of strength that I'd lost over the last month to rebuild my future again and take a little glance and go, okay, I need to do this and this and this. You've let the ball slip here, James. And I started making fucking diary inserts and fucking write-ups and all sorts. Notes were the things I need to do that I've dropped the bollock over the last month since I heard the news. But anyway, I digress again massively. But thank you for listening. Like I said, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get you on the show as well. So if you're listening to this and you want to jump on, you want to have a chat with me, absolutely love you to jump on the show. That'd be incredible. Just to hear some different perspectives on mental health, actually, and what you've endured, and just have a general chat. So reach out to me if you want to jump on board. Don't forget to try and spread the word. Hopefully this will help somebody. These podcasts will raise awareness in mental health and give people the ability to speak out. So thanks for listening. Take care, everyone, and I'll speak to you soon.